What up, you nerds? Today is the day. After a long time of waiting, Savathun is here to wreak havoc. She's gonna unleash her armies, attack and kill guardians, and maybe rearrange your sock drawer when you're not looking. Today, I intend to give no spoilers as we talk about the brand new Legendary Mode campaign difficulty, the kinds of rewards it's going to give you at the end when you beat it, and why you should take on the challenge. Hi, my name is Fallout, and today's video is sponsored by Destiny 2. That's right, boys, today's content is actually kinda brought to you by Savathun herself. So can you really trust anything I'm telling you? Of course you can. I wouldn't lead you astray. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and ring the notification bell so you're alerted to all my new videos in this new season of D2 content. I plan on hitting the grind hard. All right, why don't we talk about the brand new Legendary Mode campaign, and we're gonna go what, how, why. First, I'll give you an overview of what exactly the Legendary Campaign Mode is. Then I'll give you a rundown on what rock-solid loadout options you can bring into the campaign that are pretty much guaranteed to do well. Then I'll close out with what you're gonna get when you beat the campaign on Legendary. What, how, why. Kicking things off with what. When you fire up the game after the opening cinematic, you're gonna be presented with a choice to either start the campaign on normal or Legendary Mode right away. If you accept, Legendary Mode is then enabled and becomes the default for future campaign missions. It's also important that you know about fire team scaling. Here's the deal with that. If you want, you can be a cowboy and take on the Legendary campaign all on your own. You can also bring 1 or 2 friends with you, bringing your fire team total up to 3. But the more people you bring into your fire team, the harder the mission is going to get. Enemies will be tougher, and it'll be more challenging overall. In Legendary Mode, you won't be able to self-revive if you die. In fact, you'll need to revive downed teammates within 30 seconds, or believe it or not, your team will wipe. Obviously, that means that staying together and working on getting revives is going to be a top priority. Keep that in mind later when you're putting together your team loadouts. Additional enemies will spawn in encounters, and enemies will be more resistant to unmatched damage types, meaning you gotta make sure you're bringing multiple weapon options on your Guardian to deal with the various types of elemental shields. More on that later when we talk about loadouts. Another thing to be aware of, players can't over-level combatants. Translation is basically going to be similar to a contest mode in a raid. Even if you manage to beef up your power level to a whopping Broly level, it won't help you god stomp in Legendary Campaign Mode. Be sure to keep an eye on the mission launch screen, which will have a skull displaying each mission's max effective power. From the mouth of Bungie themselves, if you're under level, be prepared for a bit of a tough fight. Finally, oh, you thought there wouldn't be modifiers? Oh, think again, big guy. It's Legendary, not average dairy. A consistent set of modifiers will be hitting you for all missions. Chaff, aka radar, will be disabled, and iron, aka enemies will have more health and they can't be staggered. Alright, now why don't we quickly talk about loadouts. What weapons and armor can you bring into the Legendary campaign either alone or as part of a team and do well with? Starting with weapons, I'll try not to spend too long on each, otherwise it'll turn into a 10-hour video. We'll start off with exotic kinetic weapons that will do well. Huckleberry. Remember that in the Witch Queen, Overload SMGs are a confirmed artifact mod, so any high-level PvE content you take on, probably a good idea to have an SMG somewhere in your back pocket. Huckleberry is tried and true at ad shredding, and it does great in PvE. Malfeasance. Here is a great primary option for dealing with elites and mini-bosses, especially if everybody in your fire team is rocking one at the same time. Light up an enemy with a lot of shots, and enemy go boom. Izanagi's Burden. Top tier burst damage, and remember, in high difficulty PvE content, range is king. Put yourself back in a safe place and dish out major damage from downtown with Izanagi. Arbalist. Arby is one weapon that I am 100% confirmed bringing into the Legendary campaign on day 1. Even though we're losing the particle deconstruction artifact mod, Arbalist will hit hard and has intrinsic anti-barrier and can deal with every type of elemental shield, no problem. A top tier weapon option IMO for the new PvE content. Outbreak Perfected. Remember that pulse rifles are getting their damage buffed against certain enemies in the Witch Queen. Having everybody on the team equip Outbreak, if all of you have it, could result in just demolishing any yellow health enemy that you find. Bad Juju. Again, pulse rifles are getting hotter in the Witch Queen, and Bad Juju might finally be able to shine. More super energy never hurts, and kills both refill your mag and give you a damage increase for a short duration. Bastion. Reliable close range punching power if anybody gets too close to you, and also has the ability to naturally deal with unstoppable champions should the need arise. Wither Horde. If I wasn't taking Arby, I would probably take Wither Horde. Great for ad clear and zoning, and with the exotic catalyst, it will auto reload even when you put it away. Dead Man's Tail. Tail. Vorpal weapon on primary weapons will now do 20% to boss enemies instead of the old 15%, and even though it usually pops off in PvP, Deadman's Tail will absolutely hit enemies for big damage in the new campaign. If your Deadman's doesn't have Vorpal though, I might recommend another weapon pick. Alright, why don't we move on to exotic energy weapons. Graviton Lance. Again, pulse rifles are going to hit hard in Witch Queen PvE, and Graviton is a nice way to make extra explosions for extra ad clearing. Risk Runner. If there's Hive involved, you'll definitely get hit with Arc eventually, and Risk Runner can help you chain that back at large groups of Hive for big chain damage. Remember, you can also self-activate Risk Runner's perk by tagging yourself with an arc grenade if need be. Hard Light. I personally would rather bring Arbalist for the option to deal with all enemy shields, but Hard Light is still a rock solid weapon pick. You can change damage types with the touch of a button, meaning that you have the ability to deal with any enemy shields with a primary weapon alone. Borealis. Again, the ability to change damage type with the push of a button, and rather than dishing it out with a primary weapon, you can do it with a special ammo weapon, meaning it'll hit way harder. The exotic perk, Ionic Return, will also guarantee that you'll have extra damage to pump out when you need it. Trinity Ghoul. Bows are awesome in PvE, and Trinity brings chain lightning to the table. Again, remember in Witch Queen, anti-barrier bows will be an artifact armor mod, so have a good bow ready to go. Speaking of good bows, both Le Monarch and Tiku's Divination, one for solar, one for void, they are both terrific energy weapons in PvE. Teraba. I've been popping off in PvP with it, but it's getting a big buff in Witch Queen, and being able to free the beast in PvE is going to let you dish out a ton of damage. Considering how tough the enemies are going to be in the campaign, I don't think it'll be a bad pick at all. Divinity. Divinity does well in literally any endgame PvE activity. It won't be on my minute 1 loadout, but you can 100% bet it will be on my Guardian at all times in case my fire team needs it. It also deals with overload champions, but Divinity is godly for turning any enemy into a pincushion. Alright, now exotic power weapon time, starting with Tractor Cannon. Tractor Cannon should be somewhere on your fire team at all times. The ability to debuff enemies with one click is great and should not be overlooked. Sleeper Simulant. We're losing the particle deconstruction mod, but it doesn't matter. Sleeper is still going to be a great power weapon that deals big burst damage whenever at good range. 1000 Voices. Again, no particle deconstruction, but the 1k hits damn hard without it and is reliable for both crowds and single target damage. Anarchy. I know, it's not as good as it used to be back in the day, but you can still light up an enemy with it real good. Lament. This one could be tricky. High power enemies love to stomp people into the ground up close, but in the right situations, Lament can absolutely rip people in half with no effort. A blinding Saint 14 bubble or a Radiant Well is all you need to take advantage of Lament up close. Gallarhorn. The OG, the classic. Big, easy burst damage and the ability to power up your nearby fire team members' regular rocket launchers as well. Remember, if somebody on your fire team is bringing Galley, the other 2 fire team members should bring cracked legendary rocket launchers to get beefed up by Gallarhorn. And now, very briefly, legendary weapons that are worth mentioning. Any blinding grenade launcher. Bonus points, but also has auto-loading holster. Blinding grenade launchers to this day are still incredibly clutch in high-level PvE content. Fire off a grenade, blind a big group, shred them down while they're all confused. The curated Night Watch Scout Rifle. This gun is a Viking in high-level PvE content, and any player can get the curated role by completing the New Light quest at the kiosk at the tower. Point of the Stag. Just because I really love bows and tough PvE content, Stag has a great curated role, almost always performs well, and I enjoy using it. For exotic armor, my immediate recommendation is going to be anything that keeps you alive. Remember what I mentioned earlier, when somebody is downed, you need to revive them or your team will wipe. Warlocks, the Stag for damage resistance, Aeon Soul for ammo, Starfire Protocol for extra healing grenades, Phoenix Protocol for a quicker well, Lunafaction Boots for a better well, or Boots of the Assembler for instant team healing. Geomag may also work well if you need better burst damage on a tough enemy. Titans, Helm of Saint 14 for a better bubble, Precious Scars for better reviving, Aeon Safe for ammo, Ursa Furiosa for god level reviving, Crest of Alpha Lupi for healing and orbs, and Curus of the Falling Star for god tier burst damage. Hunters, Graviton Forfeit for camo abuse, Wormhusk Crown for health on demand, Aeon Swift for ammo, Sixth Coyote or Omnioculus for even more camo abuse, Orpheus rig for more tether, or Star Eater for a more powered up super. For armor mods, ammo finder mods are going to be mandatory, and likewise for any scavenger mods. On your chest piece, be sure to rock either concussive dampener, sniper damage resist, or an elemental damage resist of whatever might be giving you trouble. Another armor mod that I'm going to say will probably be mandatory for day one, protective light. Your priority is staying alive so your fire team doesn't wipe, and even though protective light only gives you a bit of protection, every little bit does help. You're gonna need a way to get charged with light to begin with. I usually go with taking charge, but put on whatever fits your playstyle. Finally, the big question, why should you be doing the campaign on Legendary? Well, buckle up, buckaroo, here's what's in store for you. While playing campaign, you'll get 1 to 3 chests per mission in addition to base chests, aka you'll be showering in loot much more frequently than usual. On top of that, when you finish the Legendary campaign, you will get the following: your choice of new exotic armor, a full rare gear set, which by the way is fixed at 1520 power level, 20 power above the soft cap, meaning you won't have to grind out other activities to hit the soft cap at all. Upgrade materials, triumphs, and eligibility for a unique consumer product item, aka something unique from the Bungie store that proves you beat the Legendary campaign like a baller. And finally, a unique emblem. I'm 100% doing the campaign for the armor set alone, but all that other stuff is just icing on the cake. Or is it gravy on the train? Either way, now that you know what to expect and have a laundry list of solid loadout options, get in there and conquer Legendary. By the way, if you're worried about taking on the Witch Queen because maybe you haven't played in a while, fret not. Doesn't matter how long you've been away for, every player's power level is going to be brought up to 1350 with the Witch Queen. You and me are going to be at the same level going into the new content, so it's a great time to jump back in. Also, if you either missed D2 Year 4 or just want to understand the Witch Queen story a little bit better, Bungie recently released the Witch Queen interactive trailer Vanguard report, which you should feel free to check out. Shout out again to Bungie for sponsoring today's video, and remember that Bungie's charity online event Game to Give is returning on February 24th and will conclude on March 2nd. Much love to those who get involved. Also, there's a Twitter contest in which all players that complete the Legendary mode before March 4th, 2022 have a chance to win the exclusive Rorschach emblem. Check out my Twitter for more information on that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you out there in D2 in the Witch Queen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.